What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing Mew in the Retro Cup with a very unusual moveset, but one that I think is very strong in the current meta, with both Dragon Tail and Dragon Claw. Now for anyone that doesn't know, Dragon type damage goes completely unresisted in the Retro Cup, as Fairies and Steels are banned, hence why I'm running 3 Pokemon with Dragon type moves, but Psychic is also a very oppressive typing in the meta, only resisted by other Psychic types. So with this moveset, Mew is able to beat most Dragon and Psychic type Pokemon. Now of course, Mew has access to a ridiculous number of fast and charge moves, but this Mew already had Dragon Tail from a video I made a few years ago, I believe, and I thought if I can get Dragon Claw in a few attempts, then maybe I'll give Mew a try, but I definitely wasn't expecting to get Dragon Claw after just one charge TM used. I feel like I'm usually very unlucky when it comes to the TM system, so this was very nice. Anyways, the rest of the team features Hakamo in the lead, with Shadow Latios as the closer, but there are also about 5 bonus battles towards the end where I initially used Rayquaza. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the best core breaker for the current Retro Cup meta? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Hakamo into a Shadow Hypno, so obviously not great for us. Gonna say swap into my Mew, and for the most part I did use Mew as that say swap. The opponent's gonna bank some energy and then swap into Oranguru, but we've got such a huge energy advantage, and as well we've already shown that we're running a very unusual fast move, so we end up grabbing a shield up against Oranguru with the Dragon Claw. Now we full send the Wild Charge, dealing huge damage, and at this point I'm thinking there's no point shielding my Mew. They've already shown 2 confusion users. It's probably going to be triple confusion, in which case Hakamo not going to be the best up against this team, but Oranguru typically only going to have resisted charge moves to throw, so they actually opt not to throw any moves at all, thinking maybe confusions would do more damage. But either way, we've chipped this Hypno enough where we can come in with the Shadow Latios. I can shield this, they won't be able to make it to another charge move, so probably going to swap into their final Pokemon, which is a Shadow Girafarig. Now we are resisting the confusion damage, and you can see my IVs look pretty good for my Shadow Latios, but unfortunately it doesn't get anywhere close to 1500 CP, so unfortunately they go for a Psychic Fangs here, and they will actually be able to go for a full confusion farm down unless I throw a charge move, but it doesn't really matter, as I should still be able to live 1 confusion from the Hypno, get the Dragon Claw farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle, Oranguru in the lead this time around, so still not great for us. I'm going to say swap into my Mew, and this was, I think, my second battle with this team, so I'm going to shield here. In future battles, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't shield my Mew say swap, unless, of course, I needed to flip switch advantage, which in this case seems kind of useful here, but we're able to grab that shield advantage once again. At this point, just going to let the Mew go down. The opponent actually just goes for a body slam there, which means I can go for another Wild Charge. A Wild Charge, it is non-stab. Licky is also pretty bulky, so we don't really put them into farm down range there, but we can come in with the Hakamo here. I'm going to no shield this. The opponent is going to go for the body slam. Body slam not doing too much damage. I'm going to no shield once again here, and this is slightly risky just because, of course, it's not really the charge moves that are going to do much damage from that Oranguru. So actually I swap into my Latios, get a slight energy advantage, and that will just barely allow me to outpace them to the Dragon Claw here. I think the rollout came through anyways, so that doesn't really make an awful lot of sense, but either way we are going to shield this up, as the opponent will actually be able to outpace me to the next charge move, but they swap back into Oranguru, and that is huge for me, as I'm now able to make it to the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw grabs the final shield from the opponent. They're going to fire off a Brutal Swing immediately, and this is fine with me. Brutal Swing will get the KO, but we can come back in with the Hakamo. I can go for 2 Dragon Tails, fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw actually doesn't quite get the KO, but I'm able to get the Dragon Tail farm down, and I will outpace the Dunsparce to a Brick Break, and from this range, Brick Break will be enough damage to take out the Dunsparce, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle. Going to see Araquanid in the lead, so this is a great matchup for us. Well, I say great, we do resist everything they can throw. However, Araquanid is just so bulky, and you're going to see these Bug Buzz, they actually do quite a lot of damage here. But either way, going to fire off the Dragon Claw, going to no shield as it is resisted damage. A second Bug Buzz, honestly, would get us very low, and if they got the defense drop there, then honestly the next Bug Buzz could possibly take us out. But either way, we're going to no shield once again, and I will bank a Dragon Claw, and then I think I'm actually going to to swap into my Mew to get ahead on energy here, as we don't know what they've got in the back, but they're going to come in with a Licky once again. So they're going to fire off a Body Slam immediately. So of course, I'm going to no-shield this. Body Slam, not going to do too much damage here, as we do lags just slightly there, but it doesn't really matter too much. I'm now going to fire off a Dragon Claw, realizing that they're not really in range for a Wild Charge to get the KO there, and I was hoping maybe they'd overfarm just slightly, but they don't. This time they farm up to the Shadow Ball, so I respect the damage, and now at this point I can just settle for going for Dragon Claw, as Dragon Claw from this range should be enough damage to get the KO, and it does, and they come in with a Shadow Annihilate. We're going straight for Wild Charge here. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're going to shield anyways. They've still got 2 shields, but it doesn't really matter, as Shadow Annihilate, unfortunately, will not be able to withstand the Dragon Breath damage from the Shadow Latios. They boost up their attack, counters are chunking, but we get the Dragon Breath farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle. You can see Arctipax in the lead, so this is fine with me. I'm hoping the opponent will throw straight away, and they do, but I'm also expecting double confusion in the back, so I'm going to swap straight away into my Mew. The opponent comes in with the Shadow Giraffe Rig, and this is absolutely fine. Unfortunately, they get a 0-turn swap whilst we get a 1-turn swap, so they're able to go for 3 confusions and then throw on good timing, which isn't really ideal, but also it does mean that they just go straight for a Psychic Fangs. I'm going to no-shield, I then undercharge that to get slightly more energy with my Mew. We're going to fire off the Dragon Claw into the Arctipax coming back in, and we're able to take them out, and there it is. It's the Oranguru. They do have a shield advantage, and they've got an energy advantage, so this might be a little bit tricky for us, but we do have a lot of energy on the Hakamoa. So what we're going to do here is going to shield the Brutal Swing. I'm then not even going to bother throwing, instead swapping into Hakamoa, going to fire off the Dragon Claw, and if the opponent tries to commit to a full farm down, they will not get there in time before we make it to another Dragon Claw, and this Dragon Claw should be grabbing the final shield, and we have the Dragon Claw banked on the Shadow Latios. Dragon Claw, of course, from this range takes out Oranguru, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's opponent there into next battle. We're going to see a Charger Bug in the lead, so once again a really good matchup for us. Of course, when we're not seeing Confusion users in the lead, actually Hakamoa does pretty well into a lot of Pokemon here. They're going to go for an Executor. Again, everything they can possibly throw is resisted damage, but again, we're not doing that much damage either, so whilst we will be able to throw just 1 charge move this time and go for a full farm down, they will get us into the very low red health range, which isn't really ideal. But either way, they're going to come in with a Alligator. I'm going straight for Brick Break here, and honestly I should just go for another Brick Break, as I get to both charge moves at the exact same time, but this is just my inexperience using Hakamoa there. We actually go for the Dragon Claw. We grab the shield anyways, but it would have been nice to drop their defense as well. But either way, going to come in with the Shadow Latios, going to shield that up, and they come in with a Dunsparce. So at this point, I'm going to fire off the Dragon Claw, and then after landing this, I'm probably going to swap straight away into my Mew. No, actually going to stay in initially and then swap into the Mew. Doesn't really matter too much there, but the opponent goes for a Rock Slide, which is very unusual. Mew, even though it is kind of floating, it is definitely not a flying type Pokemon, so go for the Drill Run there. But either way, this is fine. We're now going to fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge from this range is enough damage to take out the Dunsparce. They can of course come back in with the Feraligatr, but I'll be able to Dragon Breath, farm them down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, and you can see we did start off with a 5-0 with this team. So GG's to those opponents there. Into next battle, we're going to see a Serperior in the lead. So this is actually not that comfortable for us, unfortunately, as they are running Aerial Ace. We can tank an Aerial Ace, so I'm going to no-shield the first charge move, but they will outpace me to 2 moves, and like we've seen already in these matchups where we're resisting the fast move damage, these Dragon Tails and Dragon Claws, they don't really do too much. Hakamoa is reasonably bulky for a Dragon-type Pokemon. Typically, a lot of the Dragons are very glassy, but we're going to swap into our Shadow Latios, hoping to get the snipe there before they make it to the next charge. But unfortunately, they do swap out in time, but they're going to come in with a Licky. We fire off the Dragon Claw there. I'm expecting them to possibly bait, but I'm going to shield anyways. The opponent does bait with the Body Slam, which is unfortunate, but they only make it to another Body Slam, and we should just barely hang on there. Latios, not the bulkiest Pokemon ever, but we do just barely hang on. We make it to the Dragon Claw. We actually get the Dragon Breath farm down as well, which maybe doesn't really help us, as maybe we would prefer energy advantage on our back Pokemon in the form of Mew. But either way, we're going to come in with the Mew. I'm not going to throw a Charge Move here. I'm basically waiting for the opponent to inevitably swap out of this matchup, but unfortunately for me, they are not swapping. So at this point, this drill run will put me incredibly low. They have to swap out, and so we swap at the same time. But I make a huge mistake here. I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back Dragon Claws. I thought they were at the Charge Move, but I guess not, as unfortunately, we go for the Brick Break. They no-shield it, and if we just went straight for Dragon Claws there, I could have got off the second Dragon Claw. I'm not certain if we win CMP, but possibly. And unfortunately, Mew had 2 moves, but I was so low that a single rollout would take us out, so we opt for the simultaneous KO there, going for the Dragon Tail farm down. And unfortunately, we do go for a tie there. But GG's to opponent there into the next battle. Gonna see a Clodsire in the lead now. Whilst I've got 2 Psychic-type Pokemon, they don't really do well up against Clodsire. Now, the opponent goes for an Acid Spray there, which I know shield, which is pretty fortunate for me. I'm going to come in with my Mew, and they go for another Acid Spray. So, very interesting plays from the opponent. We're going to go straight for Wild Charge. We're already double debuffed in our defense. The opponent does shield that up, unfortunately. But we still make it to a Dragon Claw, which is very nice. Hopefully, this grabs a shield here, and it does grab that final shield. So, all shielded down on the opponent's end. They do have a lot of energy, so I'm going to respect the damage here, and the opponent goes and full sends the Ice Beam. I can now just go straight for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw probably still won't quite get the KO, as this is a non-shadow, but we get the snipe with the Shadow Latios. And let's see if the opponent comes back in with the Clodsire. It's probably going to be another Acid Spray that they throw. They do throw very early, so I'm going to no-shield this. And the opponent actually goes for Sludge Bomb, so they're on Acid Spray and Sludge Bomb, and oh, that is so painful. As you're going to see what's in the back, we go for the Dragon Claw, and they've got a Shadow Giraffe Rig in the back. So if I just shielded that up there, that would have been instantly game over for the opponent, as we get the full Dragon Breath farm down. Dragon Claw after the Dragon Breath damage up against Shadow Giraffe Rig easily would take them out there. But unfortunately, the opponent running an unorthodox moveset of their own catches me off guard, and we lose that game. So GG to opponent there. Into next battle, another Clodsire in the lead. So at this point, I'm thinking there's probably not going to be another Acid Spray Clodsire. We know shield, and it is the Earthquake. Now we're going to swap into our Shadow Latios, and I will be able to go for a full Dragon Breath farm down and shield once if they stay in, but it's very likely that they're going to grab a shield, then swap into Feraligatr once again. So pretty similar team to the previous one. We go for the Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw is going to be shielded, but we do just barely make it to another Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and it does exactly that. Now, Feraligatr is a little bit awkward for us because, of course, with our 2 Psychic-type Pokemon, we are going to take super effective damage from those Shadow Claws, but I can just barely outpace them to the Charge Move, so going to go straight for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets the KO. We're going to swap into our Mew, and they come in with Annihilate. So, a little bit tricky for us, but this is a non-Shadow Annihilate. So, this Rage Fist is super effective. It boosts their attack, but it doesn't do that much damage. They then swap back into Clodsire. I'm going to farm up to a Dragon Claw and a Wild Charge. Dragon Claw gets the KO. Honestly, I kind of forgot that they, of course, cleared the attack boost there, so possibly could have gone for 1 extra Dragon Claw and then thrown the Charge Move, but either way, Hakamo can come in, go for 1 Dragon Tail, go for the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there into next battle. I was considering swapping out straight away, but then I figured they might be on Fury Cutter, and they are on Fury Cutter, which is luckily for us, resisted by the fighting typing. Of course, Aerial Ace does do a lot of damage, but we can go for a Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw is going to be no-shielded. Possibly should have tried to swap and catch the next move onto my Mew, but that's okay. Aerial Ace will get the KO. What I didn't want to do is catch like a super effective Night Slash, but we're now going to come in with the Mew. They come in with the Dunsparce, and I'm not going to throw straight away, as once again, I want to go straight for Wild Charge in this matchup. They go for the Drill Run. Drill Run does some decent damage there. We can fire off a Wild Charge. Unfortunately, not quite able to farm up to back-to-back here, otherwise it would have been a CMP tie. And at this point, since they shield, I kind of need to shield as well, because I need to grab either the final shield from the opponent, or of course, just get them incredibly low with a Wild Charge landing, and they're going to shield the Wild Charge. We swap into our Latios, but unfortunately we are lagging massively. I don't even know how many rollouts they just got through there. We missed a ton of fast moves, and as a result, they can come in with Primeape, and they're able to outpace me to the Charge Move. That should not have happened there. I should have made it to a Dragon Claw, and unfortunately, that's going to be costly as Mew comes in. They're able to make it to another Rage Fist. Rage Fist gets the KO, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. So GG's to opponent there. I'm not certain if we would have taken them out with the Dragon Claw damage up against that Primate, but of course it would have been a lot closer. But into the next battle, we're going to see Primate in the lead this time around. They're going to say swap into a Dugong, so we go straight for the break, debuffing their defense. We're now going to come in with the Mew. They go for an Icy Wind. I'm going to no shield this, and actually what I don't really want to do is give the Primate a ton of farm here. So what we're actually going to do, let the next Icy Wind go through. Honestly, probably should have gone for one extra Dragon Tail, but what I also didn't want to do is actually allow the opponent to just shield that up and then go for the full Ice Shard farm down. So here, I'm going to fire off a Dragon Claw. We are double debuffed, so not going to do much damage at all, but we grab a shield anyways. We now swap into our Shadow Latios, and I think they are still one Karate Chop away from the back-to-back Rage Fists, so I will outpace them, go for a Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw should be grabbing the final shield from the opponents, and they are already boosted. At this point, I'm thinking, you know what, might as well just double shield the Latios. They're not going to make it to another charge move, but they come in with Auroras, and now things are looking very scary for us. I do make it to the Dragon Claw on the CMP tie. Dragon Claw does big damage, but it doesn't really put them into farm down range. The opponent will go for a Weather Ball, and of course, it's only 4 Powder Snows to the next Weather Ball, which makes it very difficult to catch with a 3-turn fast move. So we go for 2 moves, we then wait 2 turns, then swap, catch the move onto our Mew, which is very fortunate for us. And now we can come in, go for a full Dragon Tail farm down. They actually swap back into Primate, doesn't really matter. We get the farm down there, we come out with the Brick Break loaded, and of course, double super effective up against Auroras. From that HP, it easily gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG Topo there, into the next battle, Oranguru in the lead. So once again, not very good for us. Gonna say swap into Mew, and they come in with a Jump Luff. Now, honestly, I wasn't sure about running Wild Charge as the coverage move, but I already had it, and I figured there's no point getting rid of it, because if I get rid of it, I'll probably get stuck with something like Low Sweep, which just doesn't really help at all. Awful move, so I thought, might as well just stay with Wild Charge, but potentially would have preferred like Ice Beam, or even something like Blizzard or Focus Blast to hit for huge super effective damage up against the dragons or the normal types. But either way, we do have a shield advantage, but they've got a lot of energy. I'm going to shield, and it is the acrobatics, which is huge for us. They do make it to another charge move, but I'm hoping this is just an energy ball, and it is. It's resisted damage. It still does a ton of damage there, which isn't really ideal for me, but we are going to shield this up. We have to kind of use our shield here, as they do have Oranguru in the lead, which of course is going to do a lot of damage with the confusions up against our Hakamoa, but of course we do resist the charge move, so we're going to stay in initially, get off as much Dragon Breath damage as possible. I was hoping maybe we could get into range where we are close to a Dragon Claw, but unfortunately that is not the case, so gonna fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to be shielded by the opponent, and they can, because they boosted their attack, go for a full Confusion farm down, come out with the Brutal Swing loaded, and of course Brutal Swing gets the KO up against the Latios, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG Topo there, into the next battle, going to see a Arctibax in the lead once again. They're going to say swap into their Oranguru, and we're going to come in with our Mew. And once again, we're actually not that fussed about switch advantage, but if we can get some kind of advantage up against the Oranguru, then we will definitely take it. And the opponent is not going to throw their next charge move straight away, so I'm able to go for a Wild Charge. Wild Charge grabs the shield there. I'm going to commit to another Wild Charge, as Dragon Claw unfortunately wouldn't quite get the KO there. And Wild Charge number 2 grabs the final shield from the opponent, and once again, Hakamoa, whilst we do take super effective damage from the confusions, gonna resist the typical charge moves from the Oranguru. So we come in here, we tank the energy, we go for a Dragon Claw, we're gonna swap straight away into our Shadow Latios. The opponent's gonna swap into Arctibax, but they stayed in with their Giraffe for way too long. I'm able to make it to the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets the KO. They come back in with Giraffe, and they do actually get the confusion farm down, but it doesn't matter. Hakamoa can come in, go for the Dragon Tail, take out the Giraffe, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's opponent there, into the next battle, another Shadow Hypno in the lead. So going to swap into our Mew, and the opponent's going to once again have another Confusion user. So once again, probably going to be triple Confusion. So I'm going to shield this as they go for a Brutal Swing. So actually, last time I said, oh, we're going to try and get a shield advantage or switch advantage. This time we're actually going to try and get switch advantage here, or at least grab shields back from the Oranguru, and we do grab that shield there. So at this point, we've put them into farm down range once again. So again, I'm going to let the Brutal Swing go through there. They do actually maintain alignment, but it doesn't really matter, as now we can come in with the Shadow Latios. Unfortunately, they do make a very smart play there, which is to swap back into their Hypno, and they will outpace me to back-to-back Ice Punches since they did, since they did stay in with the Hypno initially. So we're going to swap catch the move onto Hakamo, but this is actually a little bit dicey for us because I don't want to give farm to the Giraffe Rig, so I kind of waited, but then I realized they're actually just going to wait for even longer than me, so I'm hoping one confusion takes us out here, but it actually just barely doesn't, so they get off 2 confusions. I don't want to go for the Dragon Claw immediately, as I wasn't sure if the opponent would try and make a catch there, but Psychic Fangs actually doesn't take us out there. I'm able to throw a charge move into Oranguru, coming back in, get the KO there, and we're able to Dragon Breath farm down Giraffe Rig, and somehow we're able to take that game. So GG's up over there into next battle, finally a Dunsparce in the lead, which is kind of why I was running Hakamo in the lead. Basically, before these battles, I was running Mew in the lead with the Rayquaza in the back, and I just saw so many Dunsparce in the lead over and over and over again, which is why I thought, you know what, Hakamo probably going to be pretty strong in this meta, but unfortunately after switching up the lead there, didn't really see it as much, so not ideal for us, but either way, we just barely get the Dragon Breath farm down there. I was not expecting to take as much damage as we just did from those Astonishes, but either way, we go for a Dragon Claw, and the opponent actually doesn't take us out with 1 rollout, so 2 rollouts, gets the KO there. We are going to come in with the Hakamo, and I'm actually not going to throw a charge move straight away. There's no point throwing just yet because no move that we throw will get the KO. So instead, we're going to overfarm, but they've got a Trevenant in the back, so this is really not ideal for us. We're going to go straight for a Dragon Claw, swap into our Mew, basically just force the opponent to throw a Shadow Ball as soon as possible, which they go for. Shadow Ball gets the KO. We've put them into range where Dragon Tails are enough damage to get the KO, but can we make it to back-to-back charge moves in time? Unfortunately, we're only going to make it to back-to-back Dragon Claws. The first one grabs the shield. The next one we throw on the CMP tie. Is this enough damage to get the KO? No, unfortunately, it is not enough damage there. And Dunsparce does hang on. They can go for the Drill Run. Drill Run gets the KO. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to up over there into the final battle with this team. We're going to see a Gastrodon in the lead. So I didn't really see too many of them until my final set. I saw a couple of them. But either way, we're going to go and fire off a Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. The previous one baited with a Body Slam, so I'm going to no-shield. And unfortunately, they full send the Earth Power, and then they swap at the same time as us, and we swap into a Dugong, so not really ideal for us whatsoever. We're only going to make it to 1 charge move, so you could argue that I should have just gone for the Luster Purge, but either way, they're going to go for a full farm down. Luckily, at least Mew doesn't take super effective damage from the ice damage here, but it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to have to use a shield here as they go for an Icy Wind. Icy Wind, of course, going to debuff my attack. I kind of have to let the next one go through, and we're going to be double debuffed here. This Hakamo does have a decent amount of energy, but it's not going to make it to a charge move up against basically anything at all, so kind of just useless. I'm basically just going to use it to clear the debuff on my Mew, which we're going to do straight away. Clearing that debuff there, going to come back in with the Mew. I'm going to have to shield this, hoping that I can go for a full Dragon Tail farm down, and that Wild Charge will one-shot something in the back, and they've got something weak to the electric typing, but unfortunately Wild Charge, whilst it's a very good move, it is non-stab, so Walrein fairly bulky. We go for the second Wild Charge, it does not get the KO, and of course they've made it to the Icicle Spear, which will be taking out the Mew, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to open there into the bonus battles, and you're going to see quite a lot of Dunsparce in the lead actually in these bonus battles, but that's okay. We had a pretty good game plan for when we were going up against them in the lead, which was to go and fire off a Wild Charge and then try and swap and catch the next Drill Run onto my Rayquaza, which of course would be double resisted. It is very risky because if they don't throw there, they're going to hit for super effective damage with the rollouts and the Rock Slide, but they do throw immediately, and then they swap into Cresselia. So of course, Cresselia is very bulky. I don't want to go for a Breaking Swipe straight away because they're probably just going to no-shield. Unfortunately, they do bait with a Grass Knot, which is a little bit risky for them, but pretty obvious that I'm going to shield a Rayquaza with an energy advantage. We farm up to the Dragon Ascent and then fire off a Breaking Swipe. We get the shield, we get the debuff with the second one. We tried to swap out there, but unfortunately, 2 turns up against 3 turns, they will outpace me and throw the charge move, but we come in with the Shadow Latios. We get the full farm down up against the Dunsparce, but they come in with a Bug Bite Araquanid, so I see my only win condition is going straight for a Luster Purge. Luster Purge does huge damage, it drops their defense, and as well, just because we can, we swap into our Mew, we catch a Bubble Beam, we can now go for the Dragon Tail farm down. Honestly, I probably should have just stayed in with my Latios actually, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Mew, even debuffed, can get the Dragon Tail farm down up against Cresselia, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to our opponent there. Into next battle, we're going to see Mew into a Clodsire. So again, whilst we are a Psychic type Pokemon, we don't really have the best moveset to go up against a Clodsire. I'm going to no-shield the first move as they go for a Stone Edge. I'm now going to bank that energy as it's not really that useful into a Clodsire. Come in with my Shadow Latios. They fire off another Stone Edge before swapping into a Licky Licky. So I'm going to go and fire off a Dragon Claw before the opponent makes it to the potential Body Slam. They're going to shield that and we are going to just barely be outpaced to the Charge Move. I'm going to no-shield and they go for the Shadow Ball, which does get the KO there, which is unfortunate. But we can come back in with our Mew. I'm hoping that a Wild Charge will get the KO here, but unfortunately they actually make it to a Body Slam. I just miscounted there. We barely hang on. Hopefully Wild Charge does get the KO here. So we've got back-to-back charge moves, but it doesn't quite take them out there, and that is incredibly unfortunate because now we've only got one Pokemon remaining. We come in with the Rayquaza. I'm just going to continue to over-farm here. I'm hoping we can just go for a full farm down, and maybe they're weak to the Rayquaza in the back, but they've got a Rangaroo, so my only win, wow, can't even speak. My only win condition is going for the Dragon Ascent. Man, I just butchered like the best moment of this video. Oh well, it is what it is. We get the one shot up against a Rangaroo, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there into next battle. Going to see Arctopax in the lead, and the opponent finally realizing that we're on Dragon Tail, swapping into a Rangaroo, and we go for the Wild Charge. It connects, and now we can swap into our Shadow Latios. And the great thing here is that we can just shield once, go for a full Dragon Breath farm down, and if they come back in with that Arctopax, they're going to take huge damage from these Dragon Breaths, from the Dragon Claws, so they're probably going to have to use a shield here. They do shield that up, and they will actually throw a Charge Move immediately, which is absolutely fine with me. The opponent goes for a Dragon Claw. I'm expecting it to be another Confusion user in the back. We come in with the Rayquaza. We will actually outpace them to that first Charge Move, as it does take one turn for them to swap out. We go for Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe debuffs their attack. They're actually going to get a simultaneous KO, so instead we come in with the Mew, we get the Snipe, and the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG's top opponent there into the next battle. You can see Dunsparce in the lead. So once again, I'm going to go for a Wild Charge and then try and catch the move onto our Rayquaza. The opponent's going to go and fire off the drill run pretty much straight away. We're going to go for one move, and actually the opponent tried to catch a Wild Charge there. We nearly threw, but actually we're able to hang on to the energy, fire off back-to-back Dragon Claws here. The second one probably will grab a shield at this point, and it does grab the shield. I'm actually just going to stay in with my Mew. There's no point in swapping out there and switch locking myself. We can come in with the Latios. Whatever they throw is going to be resisted, as I don't think they have enough for a Draco Meteor. They go for a Thunder Punch, which actually I believe does the same amount of damage as the Aquatail, so it doesn't really matter which one they threw there. But they come in with a Dragonite. We are going to swap into Rayquaza. We get the Dragon Tail farm down. Insane damage there. We're now going to go for a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to be shielded, and it does get the debuff, which is huge for us because we do not have much HP remaining. I don't know if I'd live 2 rollouts there, but because we get the debuff, we make it to the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there into the final battle of this video, and another Dunsparce in the lead. So you can see why I did swap into Hakamoto as the lead Pokemon. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out for me, but it is what it is. We still did pretty well with the team, going 5-0 in the first set, despite seeing a few Confusion users in the lead, which is very nice. But either way, again, gonna try and make that catch, and again, able to make the catch. So I would recommend probably don't throw that second move straight away if you are running Dunsparce, as it's a pretty clear catch. Opportunity for the opponent to swap into something that maybe resists Drill Run. And because you do have really good coverage in Drill Run and Rock Slide, you might as well just hold on to it and go for maybe at least one extra rollout first before throwing. But either way, we grab both shields from the Dunsparce. There was no point shielding there because they would actually outpace me to the next charge move. We're going to come in with the Shadow Latios, and we are going to shield this move. Unfortunately, they do just barely make it to the charge move. This time they go for Rock Slide. Don't really understand why. It doesn't matter. Probably expected to grab a shield anyways, and they come in with a Charger Bug. But then they swap into a Rangaroo, and this is perfect for us. Shadow Latios should be able to sweep this game. We go for the Dragon Claw, doing big damage. We then throw the next Dragon Claw on the CMP tie. Dragon Claw gets the KO, and now we can just stay in with the Shadow Latios. They can fire off an Exeter. Exeter, of course, going to hit for super effective damage, but it doesn't matter as I can full send a Luster Purge into the charge bug. Dragon Claw probably would have done enough damage anyways, but lost the purge, guarantees the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So that's gonna be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.